One thing that's interesting, though, he does not have Dungrove Elder as a concession to all this red mana.
And
so he's on the left.
His opponent is a Birthing Pod deck.
Red-green Birthing Pod. Very soft splash of blue, though. He does have Deceiver, Exarch, Ether Adept, Phantasmal Image. So definitely a rug pod deck.
Turn 1 from Rayann, nothing. Turn 1 from Dan, nothing. Turn 2 from Dan, Green Suns into Bird. Turn 2 from Rayann, nothing. And here on turn 3, 4 mana from Dan, gets a Huntmaster.
Holy cow, I can't see anything anymore after Pikachu has blinded me.
Pikachu.
I want to see your Pikachu. Alright, so at this point, Rayann still hasn't developed anything. What kind of a hand did he keep that has no 1 and 2 drops? I guess Green Sun Zenith we're going to see. Is this a Strangleroot Geist?
Probably.
It's interesting that he didn't use the Green Sun Zenith for a mana creature last turn.
I mean, it could be that his hand, if he gets the mana creature... God, no, it still seems right to get the mana creature.
I mean, maybe he's a little flooded and he just wants to... I mean, this is a slow way to beat down,
I mean, let's be fair. Let's pretend that his hand is like 4-drop, 5-drops. There are no 5-drops. Oh, there's Silverheart.
Yep.
Let's pretend his hand is thick of 4-drops. Getting the 1 bird will get him there a turn sooner still.
Yep.
So, I don't know. I'm not sure what he would have to not want to go there.
If he's just got, like, I guess, all land. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, that's fair. If he has all land.
But even then...
Flip the Huntmaster, finishing off the already wounded spirits.
Now this is a real tough spot. Once the Huntmaster starts flipping against him, he doesn't really have a lot of good counterplay.
Sword of War and Peace is, I think, his only way to put something out that is by itself. Oh, we got a Thrun. Boom.
Thrun isn't the worst. I mean, he holds off the Huntmaster. Forces the Huntmaster to merely make 2/2s, gain life, deal damage to the face, and kill creatures. Phyrexian Metamorph, killing Thrun. Even tapping the bird for blue for max Val.
And another land for a mana.
So, the Huntmaster successfully flipping back allows him to continue to advance his board. It's always so incredible when the Huntmaster gets to play a real game. I mean, so often we see the Huntmaster just die. Often, up a little value, but these games where he gets to live and just keeps flipping back and forth, he completely just takes over. Sometimes it's like he's a Consecrated Sphinx for 4 mana in terms of how many cards he's drawing.
Green Suns for 3. Borderland Ranger, perhaps? There it is. He shortcuts.
Wow, so what is he trying to do here? Is he trying to just get enough mana to Bonfire? I mean, he's only got the 1 Thrun in his deck. So, getting mana to be able to Green Suns for his own Huntmaster. Getting mana to be able to equip a Sword of War and Peace all in one go if he gets a bird or an elf out. It does seem like Bonfire is his main game here. At this point, he's fallen so far behind. But his main deck just looks very, very weak to Huntmaster to begin with. Meanwhile, we haven't even seen that much from Dan. Dan mostly just riding this Huntmaster of the Fells. Wow. Another Green Sun Zenith. We're going to see a Wolfear Silverheart?
There is one of them in the deck. Seems reasonable. Even an Acidic Slime would be pretty punishing to this position, but Silverheart
just Acidic Slime hitting the Kessig Wolf Run?
Yeah, either way.
Yeah, because this is going to make his Huntmaster so big that he can live through a Bonfire. Yeah, exactly. He sees the play. And I think this locks it up. I think this is going to... I think Rayann is mathematically locked. So what are we going to see out of the sideboard from Hodgins?
Well, given that he does not yet know, and Dan should not... Well, the game's not over yet. I mean, let's say we have a Miracle... no, the Miracle will only do 3 right now.
Yep. Yeah, I think it's over.
It's over. Okay, so let's pretend that Dan does not commit anything new to the board, like a
He could just be a red-green aggro deck. Metamorph is a card, red-green aggro decks play.
Yeah. Like, just being there, I don't personally like bringing in anti-artifact stuff against Phyrexian Metamorph.
No, I mean, he could have swords, but
He could have swords is really common in red-green aggro. So I guess anti-artifact things do seem reasonable. So the Ancient Grudge, given that most green-red aggro decks bring in sword or have sword,
but they might not keep the sword in.
They
after
might board it out. Yeah,
exactly. It's tough. It's real tough. It's also possible that he just knows what his opponent's playing. I mean, whether it's accidentally shuffling towards him or having watched him in an early match.
I mean, he can bring in Sword of Feast and Famine for his own,
which is definitely nice. The protection from black is probably going to do more good for him than Sword of War and Peace, at least in some numbers.
I do like him having Acidic Slime just as an in case, and I think the Metamorphs are actually very good in this matchup because if your opponent gets something like a Huntmaster going, you can join them, which is powerful. I think he brings in the 4th Silverheart to go into a Silverheart fight.
Interesting. And
Zealous Conscripts is potentially possible, though I don't know if that's what you go towards. That's all very high on the curve as part of the problem.
Right. Meanwhile, he might even bring in Batterskull. I mean, the way he's getting beat down, you know. Meanwhile, Dan has access to a variety of tricks. He's got some bonfires of his own, which he'll probably want, just for helping win creature battles. He's got Arc Trail, which he might bring in anticipation of how important it is to be able to hit the mana creatures.
I actually love Arc Trail in this matchup. I think that one of the things that can happen is you can utterly cripple someone, and in addition, you can, if you don't cripple them, come back from a Huntmaster situation by like killing the Huntmaster and killing a bird.
That's just huge. When the other person's on the turn 3 Huntmaster plan and you hit both their Huntmaster and their bird,
so
back-breaking. He also has Wormcoil Engine, which is definitely a reasonable high end, just because it's a little risky to rely on Inferno Titan against somebody who could have access to Zealous Conscript. The life gain is just real nice.
I love the bonfires in his sideboard.
Yep. I like Consecrated Sphinx too. I've always liked Consecrated Sphinx against these red-green decks.
Well, I mean, what are they going to do to it?
Exactly.
And
it blocks everything.
If they deal with it, you
Both
already
swords.
got so much value on it.
The fact that it blocks either sword and that none of their natural creatures just break through it.
Now, looking at the table, you can see Rayann at 1 life. The board has just been utterly devastated ever since that Silverheart came out. Dan just pushing over Rayann. Rayann can't keep up.
I gotta think that that sideboarding is going to favor Dan too, because he actually has ways to win the Huntmaster fights. You know, these Arc Trails, these bonfires. I mean, Hodgins still does have 4 bonfires, which are just total game changers. But the combination of Wormcoil Engine, Consecrated Sphinx, bonfires, Arc Trails, what was already a relatively decent Game 1 matchup is just going to get better. Now, what's he going to sideboard out? I mean, Deceiver Exarch can probably go.
I think... Okay, from what he saw...
Although Deceiver Exarch might just be good for blocking Strangleroot Geist and whatnot. It's easier to cast than Nether Adept. You got to keep some 3-drops, right? It's tough, because, I mean...
I don't know how much this match is about Strangleroot Geist.
I think you're right.
I think that this is... Take out 3 Strangleroot Geist and leave one as a Zenith target.
Interesting.
For those of you who are just joining us, I'm Adrian Sullivan here with Patrick Chapin.
Yo!
You see him right over here. And we are watching round 3 of the Star City Games Standard Open here. Now, the reason you're coming back to us right now is that this man is so awesome and charming that you need to be able to watch him while we talk about the sideboarding.
Oh, Adrian, stop it.
Nice, nice. Well done, sir. Now, I think that you're right, though, that one of the things about Dan, who we just saw win Game 1 over there, that Dan does have a massive sideboarding advantage, and he's up Game 1.
How massive are we talking, Adrian?
I'm not sure.
He's got Consecrated Sphinx and Wormcoil for the high end.
Yep.
Arc Trail and Bonfire for the to win the Huntmaster mirrors. It seems like even though he had a good Game 1, he's got 2 new great dimensions to add to his deck.
And now contrast that with his opponent, Rayann Hodgins, who I think he can bring in a smattering of stuff, but the Sword of Feast and Famine is his primary weapon, I think, that we're going to see him bring. And importantly, his opponent can Phyrexian Metamorph that Feast and Famine, or if he even cares to, Ancient Grudge it, should he want to even go there.
Right. I mean, I think there's a good chance that he's just not even going to care that much. He's got too many good cards. Dan has too many good cards to sideboard in, and not enough cards that are particularly weak. I don't know that he's going to want to slow his deck down with reactive cards, particularly when he wants, to play as fast a game as possible.
Like I'm saying, Ryan's best weapon is that sword, and it's not necessarily even going to be that great.
Right. It seems like one of the big parts of his plan is going to have to just be get a Huntmaster out early and try to be ahead in the Huntmaster battles. But and he's got Bonfire, which is a huge trump. He has the Bonfire's main deck. Every game where he draws a Bonfire before a Silverheart hits is potentially, you can just turn the tide right there.
And after board, they both have Bonfires, but Rayann does have twice as many.
Yep.
He got 4 to his opponent's 2.
Now the Bonfire is a little bit of an argument in favor of keeping some Strangleroot Geist action, but I do kind of think that the Geists are just more important to Hodgins than Dan.
Absolutely.
Than Dan Musser.
I think that Rayann is actually... They're important to Rayann because if you look at his deck is a 3 Wolfer Silverheart deck, and it's really committed to the attack phase. Whereas Dan can actually start being like a pod deck and just chain up and essentially play for a slightly slower game and then take over.
Right. If the game goes long, Dan is generally winning.
Yeah.
What does Hodgins have to really speed things up? I mean, he has the same number of mana creatures as Dan. What does he have more of? I mean, he's got more Borderland Rangers and Silverhearts.
He's got more Silverhearts. He's got more Borderland Rangers.
All right. Okay. So we're moving into going back to game 2, right? Looks like correct. They are shuffling up. Now this time, Rayann will be on the play. He's probably looking for an opening hand of, basically just mana creature and a good curve. Most of his cards pretty homogenous, just looking to curve out. Meanwhile, Dan, also looking for the super important mana creature, just wants to get something going, whether it's a Huntmaster or a Birthing Pod, something to give him an advantage.
That opening game from Rayann, I'm really curious what his hand was when he did the Green Sun Zenith on turn 3 for the Strangleroot Geist, because it would have to be a very blank hand of mostly mana for that to make me feel like as a comfortable play. So
this is a tough one. Looks like Hodgins taking a mull. Is he down to 5 at this point?
Going to 5.
It's a tough one. It's not clear. I think Dan probably is at 7. So this is it's a tough spot to be in, but never give up. It's like John Cena says, never give up.
Well, or in the immortal words of Bertrand Lestrade, that is the game of magique.
Absolutely. I think an awful lot of people might not realize the similarities between Bertrand and John Cena. No, I mean, both kind of have a reputation as being, a real tough guy, but, inside, hearts of gold.
I think that Bertrand might have the distinction of being one of the only players in the game to have struck a judge during a tournament and not been banned from the game.
Yeah, it's weird. Both Cena and Bertrand punch people in the face a lot, but Bertrand is more known for punching judges, whereas Cena is more known for, helping kids' charities and stuff. He's actually
and kids at home realize that these days, if you probably even hint that you might punch a judge, you will probably be banned. So do not take one lesson from the past.
Yeah, if there's one thing we've learned over the last few months, it's that jokes are not funny. So,
just try to tell certain jokes in the airport. Okay, Rayann, hoping that 5 cards is better than 7.
Dude, if I were him, I would just snap in the dark mold of 4. People who mold a 4, no, the blind mold a 4. What is it? Just straddle.
Turn 1 bird.
That's exactly what he was hoping for.
Followed by a turn 1 elf.
And that is what he was not hoping for.
Turn 2. What you got?
This game could still be completely taken over. A Huntmaster can just win games on its own.
Versus turn 2 pod. The cat is out of the bag for Rayann. Now he knows.
This is the turn where Rayann needs to play a Huntmaster real bad. The fact that he's tanking, not a good sign.
Geist. And as we said before, Rayann or Rand's Geist's more important than Dan's Geist for this game.
Particularly when he needs to put some pressure on Dan's life total because of the Birthing Pod.
Huntmaster very good at stopping the pressure on the life total.
Hopefully he plays a land in the Green Sun Zenith for Huntmaster. Then we'll have a game. There's the land.
Oh,
So-
okay. It's Rayann, pardon me.
And
And that's Rayann.
she drops a Batterskull.
Okay. Batterskull.
So she doesn't have the Huntmaster, but she keeps the Huntmaster from flipping for a turn, and now she actually can present a faster clock.
And the trade for the wolf.
So
And
the Batterskull,
Sky
obviously
goes
we lost
black.
video for a second, but the
get that back up
Batterskull
as soon as
does
we
give
can.
her counterplay. That she has the Batterskull is going to let her both gain enough life so that Dan isn't going to be able to do anything real aggressive, but also she can move the Batterskull onto a flyer and threaten to finish Dan off in the air. Now
Yeah.
Dan does have the opportunity. Dan does have the opportunity to birthing pod into an answer. Do you think that he's got? I mean, he's probably going to
I
have
think you
acidic
still
slime.
keep the slime.
He's not going to have brought in Viridian Corruptor or anything, right?
You know, honestly, if I'm playing against another green-red deck, I would consider it quite strongly. And the reason being that most of the aggressive decks are running numerous swords, and they're running Phyrexian Metamorph. And if they're not the aggressive decks, they're usually running pods.
So now he does have a Huntmaster with a cost of 4, so I'm guessing he's going to sack the Huntmaster to the birthing pod
Get a slime.
and go get a slime. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because the worst thing for him right now is the is her Batterskull, and when you have such a big advantage, often the best thing to do is like in chess, deal with their counterplay. Neutralize
Yeah.
their counterplay, and then win the game.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's one of those things where it's pacing. And in any game that has pacing, which is a lot of games, you've got to decide, do I want this game to be slower or faster? And there are advantages to both, depending on what you do. So in some situations, for Dan, he's happy to slow the game down a little bit because it means that his bigger, heavy hitters are going to come in.
Absolutely. I mean, when you have 6 drops and the other person doesn't, when you have Birthing Pod to give you inevitability, when you have a toolbox that you can choose from so that you can actually solve problems, whereas Hodgins, she's just on, pretty much just mono creatures and with Bonfire and Swords providing the
Yeah.
only the other dimensions.
Yeah, and the creatures, they aren't exactly tricky creatures for the most part.
The trick is that you can give them trample and Kessig Wolf run them.
Yes. So it's not like we're dealing with some sort of creature situation where complex interactions are happening. No, it's basically just a brutal, I guess this is the theme of the hour, a brutal punch to the face is the attempt here. Just lay a Strangleroot Geist as quickly as possible. Lay another one. Put a sword on it. Put a Wolf or Silverheart into play and make a creature really big.
Absolutely. So when we come back, do you predict the game will be over? Because that Huntmaster hitting the acidic slime is going to do some serious work.
Okay, well, we don't have to worry about it. So for those of you who are just joining us, I'm Adrian Sullivan. I'm joined by Patrick Chapin. And our director is letting us know that because we have that video, that feed is lost, we're trying to get it back up as soon as possible. We're working on that right now. And that we're sorry for the delay on the video. We're working on it, and then the match itself is being held so that we
Brutal.
can catch it right where
Brutal.
we left off.
Dude, that's crazy. When your opponent has the Huntmaster and the Birthing Pod, and you know that they almost surely are just going to get a slime to hit your Batterskull. You mold to 5. You're down a game. Like, they have the Huntmaster, you don't.
Hurry up and wait. But no, we apologize for that delay. And obviously, we have some new equipment. Now, one of the benefits of the new equipment is this. We are
Go on.
in HD, and so when you see the games over there, there's a likelihood you've got a lot more clarity than you were having before.
It's like it's like life only in 3D.
I've heard something like that before. But one of the things is we are still working out a couple of the kinks in the system with some of the new equipment. So we're going to try to get that up as soon as possible.
So what do you think about the upcoming Legacy land tax battles in terms of the watching? Counterbalance is a nice bar. Land tax mirror matches or counterbalance mirror matches?
From a spectating standpoint, I think they are going to be similarly miserable.
I think what I'm looking forward to is the land tax versus counterspell match or counterbalance matchups. I actually think those would be good because I think that they're not going to be incentivized to just sit and do nothing.
Right.
Because the sitting and do nothing, the counterbalance deck would be advantaged if the land tax did nothing, if they have the counterbalance in play, and if the land tax person has theirs in play, But for the most part, one of them is going to be able to do something proactive, whether it's lock the other person out with mana or beat down with Tarmogoyfs.
Well, I mean, I think one of the things that we're going to see is that... are we ready to have the match? Okay. We have that match ready, so we're going to go right back to that.
Oh, so I guess we're not talking about Thundermaw Hellkite.
And there we are. On the left, Rayann Hodgins. On the right, Dan Musser. Rayann down a game, losing game 1. And perhaps game 1 might have been the best opportunity for Rayann to have a win here. Dan now...
Surely getting Acidic Slime. Sealing the deal. We're not sealing the deal. I guess
there's
she's
a
neutralizing.
Wurmcoil right there hanging out. Okay, we're going for the tutor in.
Not even getting Acidic Slime. Would rather have Wurmcoil than Acidic Slime. Is it possible that Dan boarded out Acidic Slime?
It is.
Probably did. Wow, exciting. So we have a game, even though this is real bad for Rayann.
Oh,
wow.
And an image on the Wurmcoil engine.
Made in the Wurmcoil's own image. We have a pretty incredible position here. Maybe she brought in the one grudge. Maybe that's the hope.
I think one of the things is that even with the Batterskull being able to recoup some life, double Wurmcoil is pretty hard to deal with.
If you have the Ancient Grudge, destroy both, then Bonfire for 3.
And we
Easy
see
peasy.
In the air comes a Bird of Paradise. It is not tapped. Vigilance.
Yes.
4/5 bird.
So, I'm guessing she doesn't have the grudge. Particularly since she didn't destroy the pod, and now she's not destroying either Wurmcoil.
Yeah.
So what does she need to turn this game around, besides just a huge mistake on Dan's part?
A Wolfer Silverheart will go a long way to starting.
That moves the clock. That moves it up to 8 points of lifelink a turn.
It still doesn't get you there, but it gets you going.
Metamorphs.
Metamorph is pretty good. Metamorph on the Wurmcoil would be a good start.
So Dan now with a Birthing Pod, Wurmcoil, an image of a Wurmcoil, a land or elf, and 4 land, including a good mix of colors. Up a game with 18 life, facing down Rayann's 20 life. Although now that he's taken the hit from the bird, she should have 4 more and him 4 less. Meanwhile, she's got 5 land, including a Wolf Run, String River Geist, Birds of Paradise with Batterskull, and she's kind of in dire straits. I mean, she's got a little bit something going now, but 2 Wurmcoil engines is going to make racing pretty close to impossible pretty quickly. Fortunately, Dan, not a lot in his hand besides this Huntmaster.
Which can turn into whatever. What are we going to see? 5 mana. Is it going to be a Zealous Conscript? Is it going to be a Wolfir Silverheart? Wow!
Did have the Acidic Slime.
Roll.
And got her to spend the 5 mana moving it. Incredible. An excellent play. I mean,
now we really need the Metamorph. I think nothing else will do.
I mean, I guess Ancient Grudge. If you draw Ancient... I don't think she's even... maybe she has Ancient Grudge, and she draws it, and she destroys both Wurmcoils, untaps, and then draws Miracle Bonfire.
And then still has to deal with the Birthing Pod.
Absolutely. That's not a good spot to be in. All right. Draws. It is a Bonfire.
How far can that get? Is that 5?
That is 1 short. That is... probably not. I mean, at least... I mean, maybe it stops the Birthing Pod, because Dan doesn't have any... And if he just has all land in his hand... Although I think he might have drawn a Consecrated Sphinx. This is definitely a tough one.
That can be cast.
If there's actually...
Oh,
wow.
Sphinxy.
From real bad to worse. Wurmcoil Engine is definitely one of the hardest titans to get out from under. You know, like once you start falling behind that one, it's like they're beating you on every metric.
Wurmcoil or Sphinx?
Both. Jeez.
Like that rhetorical question?
Jeez.
No, I mean, These are the cards that were able to be played in a world of Titans. The 6 drops right in play.
Absolutely.
It's really hard to fight in a world of Titans.
I am definitely looking forward to Wormcoil Engine, Consecrated Sphinx, and all 5 Titans rotating out at the same time.
Oh, yes. Magic will be a much different place. 2 land in Dan's hand. Not too important, honestly. Oh, the Arc Trail. Wah, wah, wah.
And that's the game.
And that is it. Dan with a 2-0 with Nyapod there over Rayann Hodgins. For those of you who are just joining us,